Welcome back to Big Leagues Podcast, episode 5. Big episode here today. Got a big guest. FLA's undefeated, 3 wins, all by finish. The 145-pound champion, Dylan Sheppard. Welcome to the show, Dylan. We appreciate you giving us some time.
Thanks for having me. I didn't know I was getting the huge intro there.
Oh, yeah.
No better than some of my buddies.
All right, so Dylan, how did you get into MMA?
Yeah, I started MMA almost 4 years ago now, and I joined judo when I was about 11 years old. So I wanted to get into sports, and hockey was expensive. So something I wanted to try, and Coach Matt McGrath, he's been a MMA fighter, a pretty good one for a while, and when high school ended, I wanted something to do, and my buddy said fighting would be cool, and I just texted him that day and said, is it possible that's something I could do in the future?
Nice. And what's kind of your training schedule look like now when you're preparing for a fight and stuff?
So I'm not currently preparing I'm not in camp right now, but I go to my scheduled practices. I probably train practically 6 times a week. Then that's not including when I'm at the gym. So I try to get to the gym 2-3 times a week to work on strength and conditioning. When I'm in camp, I tend to do more cardio and bulk up just prior to camp, and then kind of hit the cardio pretty hard during, so I can get down to my weight properly in the 6-7 week time frame.
Yeah, and you were saying you fight at 145. So how much do you have to cut? Or what's kind of the process for cutting that weight to get down to that?
Well, my first 2 fights were catch weight at 140. The 2 guys that I was against one was just wanted to be at 140, and the other guy was a 135er that came up because I couldn't find a guy. The process, though, I was probably the hardest cut was probably my well, not hardest, but like my biggest one was probably the third. My last fight, I bulked up pretty big because I knew my guy was coming in from a higher weight class. So I'm probably like 164 at the start of last camp, right before camp started, and then got down to 145 for the title fight on the weigh-in day. I do like 10 pounds, 11 pounds of dieting and 9 pounds day of on the sauna.
When you're getting prepared for a weight cut, do you monitor your diet at all and what you're eating?
Yeah, I for the first couple of weeks, I log everything to get my calories down, and then for the next few weeks, my diet stays pretty similar. I don't have to keep logging it. I know basically what I'm taking in for the most part. I'd say, yeah, like the first time I was definitely monitoring more often, but now I know the weight of things and kind of where they fall into place and how many calories they are.
Yeah, it definitely, with more experience, I feel like it definitely becomes easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. How hard do you find the cuts? Are they manageable?
None of the cuts have been super hard that I can think of so far. My second fight there, I was a little. There's a couple fights. I was pretty sick after my second fight. Not my second fight. Sorry, my second cut. I don't think I rehydrated properly. I was probably too quick, unlike my first one where I took it pretty easy. It was my cut to 140 again, so I was going down to 140 again when I think I gained a little bit of weight since my first fight. So it was a little more difficult, but the cut itself wasn't hard. Just probably the afterwards rehydrating was tough.
Have you had any major injuries fighting, or had any injuries that have kept you out for a while?
I've never had any major injuries while fighting. I've had some injuries in practice and been sick in practice before, but nothing that's keeping me from competing right now. Obviously, if I'm not operating at something more than 50%, I'm not going to take a fight. But I've been pretty good. If I find like a couple injuries is fine to start camp. It's minor things, but wouldn't go in with anything major. That's for sure. Nothing nothing happens yet so far, luckily.
Yeah, that's good. We're gonna kind of go through some of your fights that you had under FLA. So
Yeah.
you made your debut against Dawson Sampson, and
Yeah.
so when you're making that first walkout, like what's going on in your head at that point?
Oh, it was pretty good. I get pretty excited when I used to do judo. I got pretty nervous because I kind of knew all the guys in the area, and it wasn't something I was super consistent in. It was just something I did on the side, but I do lots of tournaments. So I felt like kind of a little bit of nerves from unpreparedness. So I didn't probably reach max potential, not giving it my all. But MMA stuff, I really like it. My first walkout, I wanted to walk out to I walked out to Star Wars themes all three of my fights. So my first one, I'm pretty like jokey in the back. I had my buddy RJ in the corner, and we just flew around the whole time. We're focused. I'm focused on the fight, but like everyone up there seems to be like sweating and listening to music and stuff. I don't bring music to the back, and my phone gets shut off probably at like 4:00 in the afternoon, and
Nice.
I just go back there and joke around the whole time, kind of get ready to go. Don't get too like hard on myself. And then on my very first fight there, they had me they wanted me to walk in first, but they wanted me to walk in second, but they started playing my song first. It was just a mess up there.
Yeah.
So they were trying to send him out first, and I was like, no way. I pushed him out of the way, and I walked through first. I said, this is my song. I'm not walking out to garbage. That's not mine. Waited
Nice.
a long time to hear my song there. So.
And what time would you typically fight at? Like it's usually later, right?
Yeah, so the first one, I was the first match, so I started right at 7:00.
Okay, that's not too bad.
I was originally kind of like didn't want to be first, but when it did happen, I was glad I was first.
Yeah. Yeah, then you get to sit back and enjoy the rest of the fights.
Yeah, if it goes your way, it's good to be first.
Yeah, true. And then what is the preparation like on the day of the fight? Like when do you start like getting prepared and all that?
The day of the fight's pretty chill. Like I'd say, you just want to focus on what you're eating. Like it doesn't have to be anything specific, just more so of how much you're eating. You don't want to, and nothing that would make you sick later on in the day. Usually, for my 3 matches, what we did is we ate breakfast as usual, slept into what you wanted to. I think my 3 matches, I had a nap in the afternoon or something. And then we're going to supper and talking with the team the whole time, and the corners up to the fight. So I was with my coach and my corners and my team probably from like 3:00 onwards to fights there.
Yeah. Okay. And then so the fight starts and you throw that spinning kick to the body and he's hurt. Like he's not doing a good job of hiding it. He is hurt. And then you step on the gas, you clip him, and you get it looked like a pretty tight choke, but you couldn't quite finish it. And then he ends up taking your back. So what's kind of like going on in your head after being so close to the finish and then going from that to him on your back?
Yeah, it bothered me after more so, but in the moment I didn't really. It was just I was reacting to what was going on. He was pretty strong for sure because when I was doing this, he didn't have a fight prior, and when I was doing research on him, he was a pretty strong power lifter. So I was just trying to make sure I was safe in where its strength is required. Now, when I hurt him with the body shot, I kind of had to revert back to thinking it's an amateur fight and I can't hit him on the ground. So I went in and I was like, if you watch the video, I'm almost swinging for an uppercut and then I pull my punch because he was down. And then my next reaction was to get a arm around his neck for the guillotine, which he slipped out of. It's pretty sweaty round 2 or round 1 at the end there, and yeah, it wasn't as deep as I thought it was. I probably shouldn't have pulled guard. I probably should have kept him on the cage. But my third fight, that's the first thing I thought of when I was trying to put on a guillotine there. So I remembered back to that.
Yeah, and then the second round starts, and you land that crazy wheel kick, knocked the guy out. Like one of the craziest highlights I've ever seen. Like, what's going on in your head at that point? You must have been just
Well, the
like,
second round, I thought I won the first round based on the knockdown. Like I was
yeah,
closer because
for sure.
the takedown stuff. He didn't really do anything with it, and I thought I definitely landed significantly in the first. The second happened. I think he came out and landed a couple leg kicks that I didn't at the time really feel, but that I knew were going to add up if he just kept doing it. So I wanted to throw something, get him away from me. I landed I landed the spinning heel kick to the midsection in round one, and I thought he might bite on this. I honestly I saw him back up towards the cage, and I thought I know cage range right now, so I think he was close enough to be hit. So yeah, I threw that one, and good thing because usually my hips are pretty tight. I was loose that day, and I was able to throw that. So lucky
Yeah.
me.
So when you hit him in the first round to the body and then the second round to the head, is that so that wasn't some like a setup that you had practiced at all?
It was. It's not. It was a setup in that I landed to the body in the first, and then knew to throw to the head in the second because I landed. But it wasn't like I wasn't thinking
Yeah.
pre-camp. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
What I was saying though, all camp is, my buddies were pretty nervous for my first fight, and my buddy Will was coming to the town hall with me in Stratford to do cardio, and he kept being nervous, and he's like, man, like, what are you going to do? Like, are you actually going to do something? I kept telling him, I'm going to spin kick knockout every time, spin kick knockout, because it was something coach kept saying that in my rounds not to do. Kept telling me, he said no spinning in rounds and stuff, which he's just doing it to be safe. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
fun when it works out, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely not afraid to throw some wild strikes. I've seen in your fights you do that fairly often.
Yeah, I just like mixing it up more. I think a lot of the guys are the coaches will keep it pretty basic, but Matt kind of lets me get away with what I want to throw, and it kind of messes them up, especially when they're pretty basic, new, and thinking that it's going to be a pretty one-dimensional fight.
Yeah. And speaking of wild strikes, so in your second fight against Sebastian Akerley, you opened up with a pretty wild kick, and he got a takedown on you, and he had you in a choke. It looked pretty tight. Like, how tight was that choke?
The choke was pretty good. He just didn't have me bent properly. I was kind of how do I say it? He was like it was in, but I don't think it was something he would have choked unless he made a lot of adjustments to get it. Just because my head was almost out when I was down already, so it was kind of just one of the annoying neck crank ones at that point. Not really too much of a choke. I would say though, I was that the scissor teep to the takedown was something I was thinking about for the last 2 weeks of camp that I said I was going to open up with anyway. Just a goal in my head I wanted to make to open up with. Now, when I did the scissor teep and I missed, I kind of hesitated in my head not to shoot just because he was a little bit out of my range. But I was I wanted to keep my goals there, so I stuck to the game plan and shot anyway. I ended up getting a reversal, but he did put the choke on that was closer than I'd like, but ended up getting out.
Yeah. And then in round two, you get taken down, but you get up and you end up taking his back. And then you go for the armbar, don't get it, but then you secure the finish with the triangle.
Yeah, left side triangle when I'm used to doing things, put mostly on my dominant right side. So yeah, the first round he actually asked me to do. Their team actually asked my coach to do advanced rule set just a week prior, and my coach and I said no, just because we were. It was my second fight, and it was just so late notice. Like they just asked a week before, but I think I don't think that would have favored him. I kind of had him down in he was in his guard pretty much 2/3 of round one, and then I mean in the amateur rules you kind of got to get a sub finish because on the ground because you're not really going to be able to.
Can't hit
TKO. So the armbar is something I did a lot in judo, but he just kind of stepped into it wrong on the armbar, and the armbar to triangle to armbar is something I practice a lot in no-gi and grappling. So it was open there.
Mm-hmm. And then your most recent fight, you fight Jimmy Pinot for the belt, and
Yeah.
he had beat your teammate. So was it kind of personal for you a little bit?
It was personal for the reason I wanted to defend my teammate. I actually do like Jimmy. He's probably out of the three guys.
Personal might not be the right word, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I took it personally when Crosby lost. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Because it was the first loss of the club in a close fight where Connor had the choke in. It was pretty much a done deal at that point. And they gave me his name, and I talked to Connor about it, and I said, I want to do it not to prove anything towards you, but to beat him because he beat you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So coaching. So my teammates said that's a good fight, and we took it, and I trained pretty hard for that one. It was pretty tough one. I had a tougher camp that one, so it was good. Yeah,
and it was in my opinion, it was pretty one-sided. I thought you kind of dominated them to take the belt. It was pretty impressive. And then, so you got any fights coming up on the horizon? And are you thinking about staying as an amateur for a few more fights, or are you looking to go pro?
Coach kind of had this thing where he was saying everyone gets 3 fights amateur, see how it goes, and then we'll go pro depending on what kind of options we got.
Right.
So Cam Nelson went pro after his first 3, and he's doing well right now in pro. Mm-hmm. Teammate Maria, she went 3-0, and then is tried to transition to pro, and her fight fell through. Coach is trying to get me to do the same thing. He wants my next fight to be professional. Mm-hmm. He wants to find the right opponent, and we're looking at early next year for my fight. Just wanted to take a little bit of a break. Just a lot of minor injuries I want to clear up first, and a couple of spots that I want to get sharper at and train. Yeah. And I really like the corner aspect and coaching my teammates as well. So I'm usually in the corner for the team, so I like helping them as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And what's kind of your end goal with this? Do you have a goal or anything like that?
I just play it. I play it fight for fight because it was something that was so random out of nowhere. So I'm doing what I can. I'm going as far as I can. My goal would be to sign somewhere and maybe have a comparable record or comparable career to my coach that I'm training with, and be considered good. If I walked into a random MMA gym, just be considered he's pretty good. It's said by everyone, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Any aspirations of fighting for UFC or PFL or a big company like that? Maybe Dana White Contender Series?
Yeah, everyone talks about wanting to be where they want to be and stuff, and everyone talks about UFC, and I'd like to be in UFC just for the popularity aspect of it. You're getting seen by your friends. UFC is the most watched in North America, so, and it's not hard to find. But personally, I'd like PFL. I don't know. I've heard some stuff about their drug testing, but PFL to me, they have a lot of good Canadians, Rory, and they have a lot of good judo athletes as well, Kale Harrison. So I don't know, something about PFL. It's kind of everyone wants to go to UFC, so make it a little different.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Wouldn't say no to anything. Now the Dana White Contender Series, I don't know. I feel like Contender Series is that thing where it's a make or break.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I feel
guys are good.
I feel like that would be maybe more down the line, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be down the line. I'm just saying, a lot of guys that get into it are once you lose in that, or if you lose early in that, it's do we sign this guy over? So it's kind of, if you're getting in that, it's every other guy's going out except you kind of thing. And sometimes, like you saw, that like you've seen the last few weeks, like the guys aren't getting signed that win sometimes. So
yeah. You got any points there, Isaac?
No, I think it's interesting that you're talking about PFL. I know, like that's kind of becoming more popular nowadays. It wasn't too big now, but I know a lot of people are kind of picking that over UFC because UFC is definitely a lot harder to get in the spotlight nowadays with the popularity growing.
Yeah. UFC, the spotlight's definitely harder, and I feel like I feel like it's either PFL or another league there, something to do with the sponsor. UFC, yeah, Bellator. UFC doesn't really they're like, you're a Venom sponsor, and I don't think they let you run your own sponsors all the time. Especially on, like they used to do on the shorts and stuff. You used to rep your own sponsors, but that's not really a big thing anymore. Where I think PFL is, I'm pretty sure, is more open to that. Either way, that's not really my end goal. Isn't just about having money. Like, I don't care. Like, I'd be fine with the minimum. I just would like to be able to make a living off of working and fighting. That'd be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool. And we got some pretty big news in the UFC here. Charles Oliveira had to pull out of the main event against Islam Makhachev. He had a gruesome cut on his forehead. And Alexander Volkanovski steps in on short notice to take that fight. That's a pretty big fight. What are your thoughts on that match, Isaac?
I think I thought Volk honestly won the first fight, so I thought it was a good idea, but I was really excited to see the Oliveira fight too. But
yeah,
now that Volk's in, I think it's going to be tough, on like 12 days. I think it's 12 days notice he got the fight on. I think it's going to be tough to take a fight on that short notice, especially against a guy like Islam.
Yeah.
But I'd probably lean Islam, but I think it'll be a really good fight. But I'd like to see Volk win because I thought he won the first fight as well.
Yeah. See, for me, I'm super excited for this fight. The only thing is, I would have liked it with Volk getting a proper camp. He's just coming off of a surgery after his last fight. So to take this fight on 11 days notice, I would have liked to see him get full time to prepare. And I actually rewatched the first fight recently, and I was expecting it to be a lot closer than I actually thought it was. I had Islam winning at least 3-2. I remember at the end, I had no idea who was going to win, but I don't know. When I rewatched it, I scored it for Islam. What were your thoughts on that fight, Dylan?
When I watched it the first time, I definitely thought Volk had his moments, but I thought like at the most it was going to be like split for Islam. I just thought, like, I know everyone got beat in the last round, and if that goes 6, I mean, maybe Islam gets finished, but I really think there's just too much control time. The round where he had the triangle in for that long, it's like the damage doesn't really count on the back. It's just
exactly.
And then Volk got knocked down himself after getting a knockdown. So, and one of the knockdowns I thought he got was just a really good time shot that I rewatched after. So I think it was really close, but I think I had Islam the first time, and this time if I had to bet, it's Islam again, just because of the camp. I think with the full camp, Volk though could have got it done because he could have made the adjustments, maybe got a little bigger, and I mean, if he just hit him harder than the first time, he had dropped him once or twice. If he hit him that much harder, could have finished him.
Yeah, I think what would change for Volk this time around is that I think he'll definitely have a lot more confidence because he knows that he can hold up like in grappling with Islam.
Yeah.
And you kind of took the words like right out of my mouth there. It was in the 4th round where Islam had the body triangle in for a long time, but he wasn't really doing anything with it. And Volk was kind of like throwing some shots like that. And I think a lot of people thought that Volkanovski won that round. But for me, I think when you have a dominant position like a body triangle for that long, I think that kind of gives you the win.
Yeah, it's like you're not winning doing that stuff. It looks good, but the judges aren't seeing it that way. You're getting controlled, right? So yeah. Couldn't get out though. Like Islam was sitting on it because he knew if he got up, he might have had a harder time. So it was just a choice to make there, keeping in the body triangle for that long.
I think it was also kind of like a convenient way for him to rest a bit too. I think he was getting a little tired, and he knows that maintain that position, he doesn't have to expend too much energy, and he's winning in that position, so it wouldn't make much sense for him to give it up. And I think
Yeah,
also where Volk kind of took control of that last round, Islam started to get tired in the fifth, and then Islam went for a shot, and Volk timed him perfectly and hurt him, and then Islam just kind of gave up guard and lost the round that way. But I think he realized that he was winning, so Volk did have his moments, but I do have to lean Islam on this one.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I mean, some people were even saying like they could have seen 5 out of 10-8. I mean, maybe if there was another minute of that domination, but it was pretty.
I kind of think that the domination was a little blown out of proportion. Personally,
I think it'd be a 10.
It wasn't domination, but like the last, because it was only like the last 2 minutes there. But
yeah,
I think the last bit flurry showed that Islam was super tired. He had a hard time getting up, kind of thing, and everyone thought he was defeated, but he won the decision, kind of thing. He was mentally broken at that point.
He won by the scoring of MMA kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we also got another big change to the card. Kamaru Usman steps in to fight Khamzat Chimaev, also on short notice, at 185, and winner gets Sean Strickland for a title shot. That's a pretty crazy change to the card. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be a tough fight for Usman, and I like Usman, but I'd probably lean Khamzat just off my first thoughts. But I think Usman's going to have a tough time with his wrestling, and Usman's going up in weight for where he normally fights, and he's fresh off 2 losses as well, and everyone knows about Usman's injuries, and he's getting up there. It'll be a pretty tough fight coming against a younger Khamzat.
Yeah, he's definitely taken on a lot going up against 185 Khamzat when he's 170. He didn't want to sign. I'm assuming one of them didn't want to sign earlier for 170, but looks like it was.
That fight was rumored before previously.
Yeah, it looks like that probably says it was Khamzat, considering Usman took the fight at 85, or maybe he just offered so much to step in late notice he had to take it.
Yeah, I think Dana definitely emptied the pocketbooks for Volk and Usman to step in.
Yeah, I think Usman has a lot cleaner striking. I just don't know. I just know Khamzat's pretty big, and especially when he's probably cutting from closer to 200 plus pounds, where Usman probably walks around at nothing. I can imagine nothing more than 190 right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be there's going to be definitely a size difference, but again, they match up pretty well. Both of them aren't huge kickers, and they're both kind of pocket boxers and grapplers. So I mean, it could be good. I definitely wouldn't have Khamzat as a minus 350. I think I saw somewhere. So
Jesus,
I've seen him at minus 275. I don't know if I'd personally play that just because Usman's been so great, but my thinking is that I rewatched Usman's last fight against Leon Edwards, where he lost, and to me he looked old and he looked slow, and I think he's just a bit past his prime, and his knees are just fucked. He has to walk backwards on stairs, and he can't walk on pavement. He has to walk on grass. I don't know if that's the state of your body to step into a cage against Khamzat. As we mentioned, moving up a weight class, that definitely favors Khamzat. And Usman's strength is his wrestling, which Khamzat, I feel I don't know if he can out wrestle Khamzat, and I don't think he can submit Khamzat. I don't know if he can knock Khamzat out. I just don't see really a path for Usman to win personally.
The reason why I think Usman loses is because it's 3 rounds. If it was 5, I could maybe see Usman, because Khamzat kind of, his tank got emptied by Gilbert, and Usman beat Gilbert. That fight was close, but I mean, math, if we're doing just the basic math here, it's possible. Again, all that said, I don't think either of them should fight Strickland. I think that's stupid. I think it's bad for Strickland, but I think that's a stew. I don't think that's.
Who do you think should be Duplessis?
Yeah, it probably should be Dreykus or I mean, if
Cannonier
would step in for everybody. He said anytime, anywhere. I can't believe he wasn't the one to fight Khamzat here. He's probably pretty heavy right now. Probably didn't want to make that cut. Understandable. If Usman wasn't the guy I thought it would step in. I kind of respect him a little more. I don't really like Usman, so him stepping in was pretty cool. Actually, saved the card.
Yeah.
I actually like more than Volk stepping in because I wanted Volk to kick the shit out of Topuria in January. So
yeah. I just think that the winner of Usman versus Chimaev would be just a much bigger fight than Cannonier or Duplessis. They don't really have as much of a star power as Chimaev and Usman.
No, that's definitely.
So I think that definitely went into consideration there.
Before, so Strickland's going to be shaking he's going to be shook if Usman gets close to that, and if Khamzat kills him, I mean, might have a hard time wanting to fight that one.
Yeah, I don't see that playing out too favorably for Strickland.
He's pretty big now, though, so I don't think he'd have a problem with Usman, but Khamzat more size, and if Khamzat beats Usman handily, it'll be a tough fight.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't know if you said Usman versus Strickland, but I don't think that Chimaev versus Strickland would play out too favorably for Strickland.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll maybe run through some rapid fire predictions for you, Dylan, on some upcoming UFC fights. See who you like. So we got John Jones versus Stipe Miocic.
Saw John Jones freaking posting about training with Gordon Ryan the other day. Wants to sub him. Wants to get. Stipe hasn't been subbed before, so he's gonna look for the sub. But I don't know. John Jones picked what's his name apart last time. Gone. Yeah. So.
Yeah, embarrassed them.
I probably got John on this one. Stipe's just been gone too long, and he's just too old now.
I know you got John, Isaac.
I got John.
I'm a Stipe fan. I like John, but I'm a Stipe fan, but I just can't see him winning. I could see it going to decision, but ending up Stipe losing there.
Yeah, I'd also have to say John. I'm pretty sure John's younger and has a big reach advantage. So
yeah.
And then we also got on that card for the light heavyweight title, Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka.
Yeah, man. I just don't see how Yuri wins, to be honest. I don't know. Jan has good grappling. He's a big guy, and he couldn't keep Pereira down nor sub him. And he's just that much better. Yuri has a weird style, but low defense, and Pereira sets better traps, and he's cleaner, and his defense is good. So I don't know. I can't see Yuri taking that fight. I don't know how he would, unless it was a grindy decision. But we'll see.
Yeah, Isaac.
I think Pereira is going to finish him. To be honest, Pereira is one of my favorite fighters, and I think he's one of the best. I think after this, he'll be probably top 5 in pound for pound. But I think Pereira finishes him in probably the 3rd round, 4th round. I could see for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like both guys. I think they're the 2 best light heavyweights. I can see Yuri winning personally. I think Yuri's really good, but I don't know. That's a 50-50 fight for me. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, Glover's Pereira's teammate, and Glover mauled Yuri for 4 rounds and then lost in the 5th by 20 seconds left. So and Pereira's huge at 205. So I mean, I don't know. It's a tough night out for Yuri if I had to guess.
Fair. What about Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington? Big fight.
Make welterweight great again. Chaos Covington. I want Colby to win. So he can fight Islam at 55. That's the fight to make. That's the fight I want to see.
That'd be a great fight. Isaac.
Yeah. You know who I got? I got my boy Colby. Colby also one of my favorite fighters. Love to hear him talk. Me and Dave were talking about hypothetically if Colby won the title, and then if McGregor beat Chandler, a Colby versus McGregor fight. Just how crazy that would be.
That's ridiculous. I don't think McGregor's taking that fight.
I don't know. I think if he had the opportunity to, I think he'd take it. Another shot at the title.
Fight, yeah, you're right. He would take a belt fight if given.
Stylistically, it's not great for him, but I don't think it's unwinnable.
Yeah, and he's a little bigger now, and it is a belt fight. He'd care. Yeah, I could see him taking it, I guess, in that sense, but it is a bad matchup on paper.
Yeah. I'd love to see Colby win. I don't
I
know.
like
Leon
Leon.
Edwards has got good takedown defense, and I think Leon's got better striking than Colby. So I think it comes down to if Colby can get his takedowns in or not. I don't know. I think I'd have to go Leon. I'd love to see Colby win, but then another interesting one, Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett.
So Tony's starting Paddy's bum ass. Tony's winning, hands down. Not retiring either. Six wins in the title. Bringing it back. Fight. Islam's getting it. I really like. Like Tony. Beats Paddy.
I hate to say it because Dylan seems like a fan, but he's washed, man. So I'd probably lean Paddy just because he's younger, but I'd love to see Tony, ride out with a win. And I don't like Paddy too much, so I'd love to see Tony win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Tony win too. I'm not the biggest Paddy fan, and I don't think Paddy's really that good, but Tony hasn't won a fight in a long time. And this is probably the worst.
Every time Tony's fought would finish Paddy. 100%.
That might not be wrong.
That's my cope. That's my cope for Tony to win.
I don't know. I think it's closer than the odds would imply. I think Tony's like plus 250.
I mean, Tony's won the round ones in the last 3 fights and then fell off hard in the later rounds and lost by getting finished. So I don't know. And Paddy can take a punch. We saw in his first fight on the UFC. So it'll be tough.
Really high though.
Good grappler. He might have cleaned it up a little bit here though, but he'll be thinking about cleaning it up in camp for sure. But they're probably more evenly sized. Like Paddy doesn't seem like a huge 55er, and Tony's not a huge 55er. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be entertaining. That's for sure. I can guarantee that.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
All right, I think that's it for the episode. Thanks a lot for joining us, Dylan.
Yep.
It was awesome to have you on, and we look forward to your next fight.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me. I'll hopefully get back to you guys after my next fight.